Well, fellow implementers, welcome back to the next step in our journey to conversations about these 7 questions, 7 promises out of the patient organization. And we're just looking to see how this will help inform us and through us to inform our clients about how to help everybody in the organization live this ideal life. And so now we're on question number 3, promise number 3. Am I accountable? So Walt, here we are. Let's talk about accountability.
Accountable. What a crazy word, right? When you get out there and you try to define what accountable means. I think we were on the page the other day saying, on the same page, Will, that the only person going to hold somebody accountable is themselves. At the end of the day. I think we're on the same page on that thing. But I refer to this as the hinge question of the 7, where it really starts to come back in and where somebody's really focusing on what their job is, what their seats are, what their roles are in the organization, and are they really understanding what they're accountable for, and do they understand how that accountability interfaces with other people and also ties into the I believe question, and also like the belong question, because one half of the belong question after the core values is I have the skills, to fulfill what I'm accountable for, fulfill my seats and roles. So it's the toughest one.
Now, all right, so let's talk about what we should be helping leadership teams understand about what they have to do, what kind of promise they have to make for accountability.
When it comes to accountability, so I know in the book we're going to hit the term SCARF. It comes from David Roth, and it means that you can trigger sort of these negative thoughts in an individual when they don't feel like their status is certain, or they're not certain in terms of where the organization's going, or they feel like they don't have any autonomy, they're being micromanaged all the time, they don't relate to the company, or things aren't fair. So this is kind of this, people don't want to be micromanaged, and they really want to understand how they're contributing to the whole. And then they're asking deeper. And what's interesting is when we start doing the survey, the first time through, accountable will be up there with everything else. They're scoring 8s and 9s. And then as we go through time, asking them, can you get to yes to understand and embrace what I'm accountable for? The numbers start to drop as the individual contributors' awareness starts to rise. And then we dig in a little bit deeper. And EOS does a great job with the, taking an org chart, which is just a job and reports to, and adding another level of roles. So we get deep into the roles, and really the whole answer to this accountable and getting them to yes is to make sure they truly understand the purpose of their seat. It's like a purpose statement, which I talk about in the book. And then each one of the roles has a purpose statement also. So that's sort of like the next level down.
And this is going to directly relate to EOS Life with I'm making a great contribution. When I see,
exactly.
Well, when I I belong to the organization, I believe in what we're doing, and that is a purpose that's going to make the world a better place some way. Then
Exactly.
What I am doing every day, every moment, every second, what I'm doing is contributing to making that purpose for the company move forward. So
exactly. That relates to 2 stories. So one of the stories from the book, or the new book that I'm writing, is JFK is touring NASA, and he runs into the janitor, and the janitor, and he asks what's your job here, and he says, I'm helping put a man on the moon. Well, sounds like a pretty big leap, but no, that's what he thought about. Then the other story is just in the book about building St. Paul's Cathedral, and he says, well, I'm helping build the cathedral, and he's just a stonemason. That's just the idea, is to say that these people don't need rocks. What they're accountable for, they move their rocks ultimately build a foundation that builds putting a man on the moon or building the cathedral. So we have a lot of great tools in the world of EOS other than just the accountability chart, scorecards, rocks.
So in a real sense, then, part of the promise that a leadership team makes to every employee is you will only be doing things that contribute to us moving toward the vision of the company, toward our major contribution.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you might be picking up on a little bit, and I kind of apologize to people listening, but we have these things called the effort arrows. And it's how much effort is leadership putting in and how much does the individual need to put in. And when it talks to making sure people belong, like 80% of the load belongs to leadership and 20% on the individual. When it comes to believe, this is where we're going, 80% of the load falls on the shoulders of leadership and management. So people are clear of where we're going. 20% is for the individual. But as we get down to accountable and then measured, it's like 65% is on the company and 35% is on the individual. You know, we've got this person who belongs and believes. They're bringing this thing that lives between their ears called their brain to work. And we want to be having conversations about, hey, you know where we're trying to go. We know that 65% of this is dead on, but you really want to open up that other 35 for this individual to contribute. Say, well, actually, I think that this role makes more sense to me. I GWC this role. And I don't GWC this one, maybe, but Tommy does. Maybe Tommy can take that role. So when you really get into accountable, we're not talking at the seat level, we're talking at the role level, because that's where we can horse trade, and that's where we can actually align unique ability.
Well, and we also know that can change seasonally. That we pay attention to that, and those roles can move around seasonally. I mean, I think one example was the sales team that is highly useful and highly engaged from March to September. But after September, when the marketplace has gone to sleep and doing other things, their roles, they pick up other roles like customer service or extending, building the market in different areas. But it'll pick up again in March.
What's product. We're doing a lot of product work. It was a lot of product focus and what's coming out for next year. And so those roles would go dormant and the other ones would light up, and then we'd go back and forth. So it's not stagnant.
Yeah, and so what I'm hearing is it's a combination. When a leadership team is putting that accountability chart together, it's a combination of, we're going to be looking for somebody with a unique ability to do these roles, but we're also going to make sure that every one of these roles is essential, it's vital, it's important, it's a contribution to how we're moving forward. And it comes to mind is that's one of the great problems we have, right? When you're going through this transition, you got somebody who fits the culture like a glove, but they're just not able to do it, which means they can't effectively make a contribution.
That's right. Yeah, and that's maybe the wrong seat, I guess, but it's and then through EOS and we have the tools to make sure the person's getting a yes.
Yeah.
And that quarterly conversation is super important with
and it could well be it could well be that small y yes is there because they don't perceive how what they're doing is helping the company get to move forward toward the vision.
Yeah. Right. Maybe if they don't feel like the status from SCARF of the want it is big enough, they might have a lowercase w or even a no on it. But when they actually realize this is super important, it's this role is following procedures that support a core process, and without it, everything falls apart. It might seem small to you, but it's the linchpin. Then the W goes up, and making sure we explain the way it ties is super important.
I mean, the thing that comes to mind is the janitor who empties the trash cans, and helping them to recognize that if they don't empty those trash cans, if the president on the way out sees them full, and he goes around, takes his time to do that, what is that?
Right.
It's not that one is better or worse. It's that he is not able to fulfill his role in moving the company because there are other things that he's going to be distracted by.
Yeah, exactly. And when people understand how they fit there, that's the whole idea. Do I understand what I'm accountable for?
Yeah, that person sweeping the floor at NASA, helping him to understand. Wait a minute, you're not just making it clean. You are preventing dust from getting into the internal
quality
engine and the whole thing exploding.
Yeah. So, and that's sort of that's the importance of the subunit of the tool is there is a purpose statement. And a purpose statement is basically the why of the role. You know, the purpose of role XYZ is to keep the plant clean, and you want to tie it to a result so that we don't have dust in the lenses, so that the whatever. You know,
Yeah.
you see where I'm
Right,
coming
right. And
from.
that,
It's really
to
important
me, that comes with LMA. That comes
Yeah.
with creating that, helping, sharing that vision and creating the opening for people to
Yep.
begin to move into it. And then in the management part, helping them reflect on what they've done. Scorecard is one good
Yep.
tool for that, but simply the conversations that you're going to have regularly with them, helping them to reflect on it. To me, that
Yep.
that creates accountability. It's not something we bring in. And that's why I think this question, getting people, employees to answer that question, because you're going to get the reflection of what are the effects of what I as a manager are doing.
I mean, we could keep going down this path, and what we're basically demonstrating is the thought process that the individual goes through. We start asking the question, and ultimately they're like, wow, actually, I'm not sure I do know what I'm accountable for.
Yeah.
At one point, I had this sheet with these bullet points, but actually, I need more. I don't even know what procedures we're supposed to be following from this role. I don't even know what systems I'm supposed to be logging into. And so you start asking these deeper questions, and we're able to say we're getting low numbers on accountability. We need to dig in a little bit, and that allows us opportunity to get back and open the tools back up and link it all together. You're already going to the scorecards. You're already going to rocks.
Well, and I think that using the, asking the questions, using the survey is helping in the rollout of EOS to every one of the people in the organization. Yeah.
It flips the script. They see the why to it.
Absolutely. Well, I think we have come to a place where we're going to tie the bow on am I accountable, and are we creating accountability here with our accountability chart, and move on, because our next one is going to be, am I measured well?